Oh, poor Dorothy. She didn't have a clue that big storm was coming. Totally caught her off guard.
Studio 5 relationship coach Matt Townsend says we all can learn something from that classic scene in the movie The Wizard of Oz, because we all have storms in our life that can throw us for a loop. I have a feeling we're not talking about a tornado, though.
No, like, could it be possible that your marriage is going really well, and then all of a sudden, boom, like Dorothy, she was just out on a bike ride, having a fun time with Toto, and then all of a sudden her whole life gets torn apart. You've got to be prepared for these storms. They're coming. One of the constants of life is in your marriage there's going to be stress. It just may not be now, but it will be eventually. It's going to happen.
So tell us, how do we prepare for these storms? What are some things we need to do?
There's very simple rules. By the way, there's exact same rules of any storm, right? So you have to expect the unexpected. You have to assume a storm's coming. Maybe not now, but you've got to know that you're not free from it. So check this person out. We got to be looking out on the storm front, paying attention to the future, be watching around. There are things right now that could create a major upset in your life if you're not watching for it. You have to be expecting that bad things can happen. So as a couple, I'd be talking to each other and trying to figure out what are some potential threats out there in our marriage. What are some things that might be potentially dangerous to us? Remember, and on the show we talk about them all the time. Facebook. Are you talking to people in the past about Facebook or your old Facebook friends? You have to keep looking for potential dangers and know that we've got to have a plan.
Is that pessimistic though?
No.
Thinking dangers are coming, always dwelling on that?
No, it might just be more realistic. The reality is there are dangers, and there's dangers to our marriage, and there's danger, I mean, time and focus and energy, and a lot of the other ideas we're going to give you are key, but you have to expect that you're vulnerable. Don't just think because you're riding high in the marriage that it's going to ride high forever, right? So the very first rule is expect the unexpected. The second is you got to make sure that your relationship cupboards are full. Most of us assume because we're first in love, and when you're in love, everything is perfect. Oh my word, she's perfect. We assume that our love is full in every relationship. And the reality is the cupboards don't stay full by themselves. So one of the best ways to get away from future issues is make sure we're filling the cupboards of love right now. We're serving each other.
Okay.
So it's almost imagine it like a bank account. We're putting reserves away. I'm taking care of my wife every day. I'm loving her. I'm learning to work for her. I'm serving. I'm being selfless. We understand how our partner wants to be loved, and we're loving them their way. The goal right now is fill the cupboards. Get a nice storage, because you may need to drain some of those stores later. The interesting thing is if I have really high trust and my cupboards are full of love with my partner, I can pretty much say anything, because she gives me the benefit of the doubt. If my cupboards are empty, I can't say anything to her without maybe offending her. So when the times get tough, you've got to have the reserves to pull on, right? And the reserves of love are going to be, you can't pay for them today. You have to pay for them over weeks and years of me filling those cupboards
And
up.
so it's not something when the storm hits you can automatically scramble and try to fill. You've got to do it leading up to that event.
That's right. If you don't have the storage, you don't have the storage.
You run down to the store to get milk and bread. It's not going to be there when the storm's coming, right?
And especially, so notice, if I didn't anticipate I need it, and then if I haven't been working on it for years, so right now I'd just be filling up the storage of love. Get it full, okay? Then another rule is you batten down the hatches. Remember Dorothy, when they were all trying to go down in the cellar, and the root cellar, whatever, and they're trying to shut the doors? Why would they batten down the hatches even though she's not in there? Because we got to protect what we've got. So one of the keys, and you'll notice it, like in the tropical areas of the world, a lot of them actually have shutters, and those shutters are designed to lock out during a storm. And then the house can take a beating, but we're not going to let all the outside influences in. One of the things I'd be doing now is creating some protection for how we're going to lock out the outside influences. If times get tough in your family, let's say that there's an emotional affair with your partner going on. We need to know how to get in and very quickly shut out our house and get everything else out of it.
So what does that look like?
Outside relationships. How are we going to shut down who should be involved in our relationships or not? A lot of times we bring in our family to help us during times that are difficult, and sometimes we might, like, let's just say your child was hurt or sick, and so all of a sudden the whole family comes in and everyone starts coming in and creating a lot of influence in your family to help you make the decisions, but it starts to impact your marriage because together we're no longer making these decisions. Sometimes we need to just be a family or be a couple, shut the doors, and not let everyone else in to help us make these biggest decisions.
Even shutting the doors on extended family who would normally look for
and we might, now think of it this way, we might let them into the house to help us, but we don't have to let them into our bedroom to talk about our most personal stuff. Our most personal stuff still has to be between us as a couple. And if we always let the outside influence, I can't tell you how many friends or parents I have seen destroy their children's marriages by being too involved. You can get way too involved in everyone else's life. I mean, we've already talked about the fact that research, if your best friend divorces, the likelihood of you divorcing goes up. Because now all of a sudden we're not battening down the hatches. If you're having marital problem, now I'm not saying don't have friends, but go to resources that you can trust that are more neutral.
And
maybe
you're putting
a therapist.
the responsibility on the couple. I mean, it's easy to point fingers at the parents or the friend, but you're putting that responsibility, that decision on that team, that couple.
And think how easy it would be to just go back to your natural parent that's going to take care of you anyway.
Yeah.
The problem with it is life's not going to be that easy. And in a storm, you've got to know how to keep the outside influences out. Now, another way is just make sure if you have addictions or pornography issues or gambling issues or money issues, that we have ways of kind of regulating and keeping those things out of our family, out of our home. Make sense? Battening down the hatches. Another one is create a safe space, right? In your house, you're not always safe in a storm. You've got to know the safest part of the house, right? Every couple needs to have a safe space. If you want your marriage to last, you two have to know where it's safe. You have to have this, check this family out, sitting together, knowing where it's safe to talk about the plans, to kind of unify and to get together. Where's a safe place for you and your husband to be together, to talk? I'd have kind of almost a ritualized location where once we're here, we're safe.
You're talking a physical location.
It could be, and it could also just be kind of the space that's going to be between us. Like, I want to know that you're not going to come down on me. I want to know that you're not going to start immediately on me the minute I walk in the house. I want to know that if it starts to get a little crazy, I can time it out and you'll quit pushing. Does that make sense? Yeah. So we want to know. Now, here's the rule. If you want people around you in this space with you, I call it the space between us. If I want you here, then I have to make this space safe. Like last week, I embarrassed Mark, your friend, your husband. And he'll probably never come back in this space. He's only your friend. Did you not get the memo? But if I don't make the safe space for Mark to come to the studio, because I always get him on TV, he's never coming back again. So all week I've been like, oh, I'm so sorry, Mark.
He was
and then I just brought him up again, which he'll hate again. But the reality is, if we want people around us, they've got to feel safe in our space. Yeah. Make sense? And then the last one is, if they're in our space, we have to have a communication plan. In the middle of a storm, there's going to be high stress. It's going to be hard to talk. And we need to have a plan for when stressful times come, how are we going to actually communicate through this?
What does that plan look like as you're planning ahead of these unexpected stressors?
This is the #1 thing that kills couples, because once they're stressed, they don't fight for effectiveness. They don't communicate to understand. They now communicate for survival, and your fight or flight instincts kick in. This is the thing I spend all day teaching people to do, is you have to learn to have the stress that you're feeling and just kind of let the wave of stress go over and try to understand. I just call it a real conversation. So instead of arguing with you, we need to learn how to feel the emotion, to listen to the other, and let them tell their story. You'll notice that most of the times when you fight, we tend to speed up our conversations, we increase our volume, we kind of go rapid fire, we do a lot of questioning. None of that is designed for understanding. If you want to understand it, you need to have a space of communication where you talk slower, where we make sure we're clarifying. So let me make sure I get what you're saying. What you're saying is you feel safe when I do, you feel unsafe when I do this, this, and this. Tell me more about how you feel unsafe when I do this. I could easily try to defend it. I could easily out-argue you. But when the times get tough, you have to know how to talk. Remember, all of our meaning in our marriages and our relationships are created through conversation. The only way to change your meaning is to change your conversation. If you don't know how to have a safe conversation without it escalating, without one of you chasing and one running, or both of you running, or both of you fighting, then that's what I'd be spending your time on right now, learning how to talk. There's books to read, there's classes to attend. My date nights are a lot of times about that. There's a lot of resources out there. If you're already in the fight, then I would go get a therapist or come to our programs and get help.
Speaking of the resources, we've got some of Matt's ideas on our website. In addition to that, you got a free little coaching session you're going to offer up.
We will give anybody that calls or goes to our website there, matttownsend.com. You can get our phone number there. Give a call. We'll let you come in, sit down with a coach for 1 hour, and our coaches will evaluate you on about 50 points, 6 points, 50 questions, and we'll help you identify why your communication plan isn't working and show you what are the things specifically you're doing and give you some tools right then to fix it.
Nice.
Go to matttownsend.com.
Matt, thank you. Great stuff. We'll be right back.